Today is September 29th, 2005. We're up in the attic, and I'm beside the northwest chimney. That's the one that served James and Dolly's dining room down below. And what we're looking at here is the flashing, which is to say the metal, the sheet metal protection that sealed up the joint between the roof and the chimney at this point, probably in 1797. You'll notice that the brickwork down here is quite messy. It's not all laid in the same plane, and the joints are just kind of smoothed off with a trowel or just cut flush. Very little in the way of much care expended on this brickwork, but once you get above the flashing, you can see that the brick is all in plane and that the joints are very carefully tooled, careful relative to this, let's say. So all of that suggests that this flashing here is original, that it was part of the original construction, and what would seem to confirm that are the wrought fasteners that you see here that clinch the flashing in place. So we know from some of these that have been moved that they are hand wrought, just like hand wrought nails would be. So this was the way of securing this joint where the roof plane came down and died into this chimney. This was the way of making sure that the water didn't leak down into the attic. Now, there is some tape on the wall here that shows a very subtle line of mortar along here that represents something we call a cricket, which is sort of a tent-like structure that's laid in this crotch of the roof to sort of shed the water away from this joint, to shed the water in each direction and get it to go around the corners of the chimney. And with that tape, we've marked the evidence for that, and then there's more down here as well. Now, we're going to look around the side of the chimney to show how that was secured. And if you look, there's some brick that sticks out here, and this is called a drip course. And if you look right here on the corner of the drip course, you can see red paint that dates from the late 19th century, and we can see those dark red chimneys in photographs from that period. But anyway, you can see how this protruding course of brick actually runs diagonally. I've never seen that on another house. This is the only place I've ever seen that. But you have that same metal, sheet metal, called flashing that comes up under this, and this protruding course of brick protects that junction. And there are slots in the brickwork where that metal tucked in, and here are some more of those fasteners we talked about. And so there'll be one tucked in there, one tucked in there, one tucked in there, and so on, kind of stepping down the slope of the roof to protect that joint. You can see, okay. Now, returning to what I would call the uphill side of this chimney, you can see vaguely perhaps a line, a raking line across the chimney here. That's the roof of the DuPont addition that was built here in 1901 and recently removed. Perhaps you've noticed elsewhere on the house that the joints were ruled. They would put a straight edge up on these joints before they were cured, and they would take a line or a tool and actually score a line, an incised line into that joint. Up here on the chimney where you have original joints, you can see that they didn't do that. This is pretty high up, and so in 1797 the masons didn't trouble themselves with that refinement this high up. And Kevin Nietro, where he has made his repairs, has replicated that smooth joint, what's called an overhand joint, that's sort of cut inward down here at the bottom and then slopes back out to the face of the brick up at the top. So I'll just talk about it. Okay. We're still looking at the southwest chimney. Pardon me. Let me try that again. We're still looking at the northwest chimney, and there's an interesting detail at the top of the stack I'd like to talk to you about. The top four courses of the stack are rebuilt during the restoration, the recent restoration by Kevin Dietro. And just below those four courses, you can see a band of stucco for which there was evidence on the original brickwork. That top course, or that last course below the cap, still survived. And so Kevin put that back, and then all the brick from there on down, or most of it, is original, with some repairs by Kevin as part of his restoration. Okay, all set. Today is September 29th, 2005. We're standing at the south chimney, at the south end of the main house, and there's some very interesting physical evidence for what this chimney originally looked like, how the roof met this chimney. And if you look at the back side of the chimney, or what I'll call the uphill side of the chimney, you can see a stain that is roughly triangular in shape, and that represents what we call a cricket, a kind of tent-shaped structure that sort of turned the water away from the chimney and directed it around either corner of the chimney. It's difficult for you to see this on camera, but there are scribe lines where the mason actually scribed the brickwork to locate the ridge board for this cricket. Down at the base of the chimney, where the chimney penetrates the roof framing, you can see that there's a slot, or what we call a reglet, cut into the brick to receive the roofing materials, and also the sheet metal flashing that will secure that joint and keep it from leaking. So this gives us very good evidence for what the 1760 roof was like, and also the later iterations of the roof in 1797 and 1809.